This video is brought to you by ncix.com. Great technology, selection, and service. And before the review, we are giving one away with mass drop to one lucky international viewer. Just use the link in the description to sign up for massdrop.com. That is an awesome community purchase site. And if you already have an account, just leave a comment with what you'd like us to review next from any of the items they dropped recently. Enjoy. Hello everyone, I'm Dmitry with Canucks and welcome to another review. So, if you're not familiar with the brand FiiO, they specialize and they've actually established a strong reputation among DACs and amps that are portable so that you can carry with them along with things that you actually put on your desktop. But the FiiO E18 Kunlun is a very unique device that not everybody needs because it's got certain weird functionalities built into it, but if you're not totally satisfied with the audio out of your smartphone or a DAC, this is where the E18 comes in. So this thing acts both as an amp and a DAC, depending on how you use it, and we'll talk over audio quality later, but it's basically a middleman between accepting either an analog or a digital signal from your smartphone or a DAC into the E18 and passing that through the headphones. The E18 Kunlun is not a cheap device. It ranges from $150 to $200, and you really have to question whether or not you value such an investment in your portable audio equipment in order to justify such an investment into your audio. And before we get into the functionality of the Kunlun, let's do a quick physical tour, shall we? Now it's quite chunky, it's much thicker and wider and longer than my iPhone 5S that I carry, so this is not a super low profile device. In fact, it'll be very difficult and uncomfortable having the entire system in your pants pocket, for example, as the basic mounting premise requires your smartphone to be held in with these rubber bands. The exterior shell is made of attractive anodized aluminum, and trust me, this thing has traveled with me with pretty much no signs of wear. Although it does come with a carry pouch to protect it, so use that whenever you can. But regardless, the frame is solid and resonates only quality build. The chrome outline and the slightly indented top portion strikes a good balance between style and also allowing you to recognize which side is up or down, therefore making it easier to use the device. And this is where you'll find the volume dial that also turns on the amp and DAC with the front red LED indicating power and the rest 3 LEDs for battery life. The knob has a good amount of resistance on it, so you don't accidentally turn up the volume just by sliding your finger on it, and this is a good thing for sensitive headphones. The number on the dial corresponds to the sensitivity or the volume level of the amp, and I found that using those numbers is very good if you use and you switch different headphones. For example, with my in-ear monitors, the Shure SE215s, I always set it to 4 so it doesn't blast out my ears and I lose half my earring. But when I switch to something that requires a little bit more power to drive them, like the DT990s, I always set it to 8, and I know it'll be perfect volume every time. Here you'll also find gain toggle for low and high. The high switch adds over plus 6 dB to the signal, allowing you to really blast the volume without introducing any hiss. And in fact, the L toggle, when there's nothing playing but things are plugged in, turning the volume all the way to maximum does not introduce any noise whatsoever. That means the amp is doing a good job in amplifying the signal without introducing any noise. However, you do hear a little bit interference in the high toggle when nothing is playing, but obviously that's not going to be audible when you're actually passing some type of audio through it. There's also a bass toggle that boosts the lower frequencies, and I only switched it on for open style headphones that really emphasized the body of the bass and it made it a little bit more enjoyable. However, for closed headphones, it was a little bit too boomy. My Shure SA215s and the Sennheiser HDA DJs did not favor the bass boost. It was very boomy. I do not appreciate that type of sound, and that's sort of the premise of this E18. It is a very bassy amplifier, and the bass, when not boosted, is deep and rich. But boosting that bass does introduce a little bit of boomy into the lower frequencies. But you know, it could be what you're looking for exactly, but I do prefer a more flat balanced sound, so I left the bass off pretty much all the time unless I was using open headphones. On top of that is your 3.5mm input for the amp and the headphone jack, and you would use this to input the analog signal from your smartphone and output that through the plugged-in headphones. The 3 side buttons are extremely sturdy with excellent clicky registration to be used when plugged in via a micro USB, and the buttons are arranged as back, forward, and play pause. So you'd assume that the play pause functionality would remain in the center, but it's not, so just keep that in mind. And so looking at the bottom, this is where the E18 gets a little bit complicated. First, there's the SPDIF output that can be used with an included cable to pass the audio to your home theater speaker system, for example. Then we have 2 micro USB ports. The one on the right is strictly to charge the E18 with a flashing indicator for the battery status. The middle micro USB port, however, has multiple functionalities. First, you can use the device to charge your smartphone or a DAC via a micro USB by switching the toggle all the way to charge out. It has a 3500 mAh battery pack inside, so battery life on the E18 is very good, a couple of days no problem listening. However, you can also use that battery pack to charge your device, your smartphone, but only the smartphones that have the micro USB connection. So you can't charge your iPhone with this thing because you can only the only cable that is provided is micro USB to micro USB. And moving on, the middle option is phone in, using the included micro USB to micro USB cable to connect to compatible smartphones that support OTG or digital audio output. With this option, you are utilizing the DAC as well inside the E18 to transfer a digital audio signal from your source device into the E18 and output that through the headphones. And only when in this USB mode you can use the side media buttons. The list of compatible devices is still very short. My Nexus 4 does not support OTG unless it is rooted, and therefore I was not able to test out this feature. So the last option is PC in, allowing you to connect this to a Mac or a PC. There are no drivers needed, and utilize the USB DAC and the headphone amp for your computer. Now, as for sound quality, I used my iPhone 5S via an analog cable, and I used multiple of headphones to hear the difference. And the most evident audio element that really stood out is the opening of the soundstage. Listening through the Shure SA215s that are really isolating and closed off gave me a massive sense of environment. This is a huge positive that I think improves listening, but for open headphones that already expand the soundstage, it is not as beneficial. I would say the major benefit you get with the E18 is the flexibility of devices that can be used with E18, both IEMs, open headphones, closed headphones, high impedance headphones, something that has a lot of resistance on the electrical input, and you can still drive them all with this thing because you have the dial and you have the high gain to really boost up the signal for high impedance headphones. Also, it opens up the soundstage. I really love the feeling of putting on my IEMs and really feeling like you're in a very large environment, something that is not possible being replicated by the iPhone 5S, even with equalizer settings that you can play around with on the iPhone. The bass is improved. It's not it's just slightly more bassy. It is punchy, so you kind of have to like that type of bass. The mid-range for vocals, especially for male vocals, is much improved. There's a lot of detail separation, there's good clarity, and the high end is smoothed out. It's not as sharp as with the iPhone 5S, for example, and all that ties into, I would say, an acceptable and very enjoyable listening experience with the E18 versus just your standard Android or an iPhone device. Of course, you have to take into the price into account and whether or not you are able to make sure that you have enough space for such a contraption with these two devices sort of clunked together, and the uncomfortable nature of then using your iPhone or your Android device when they are strapped together, kind of accessing buttons and stuff. I found my way to work pretty good, and I don't find that as a big of annoyance anymore, just because I figured out the optimal way for me to plug everything in and to combine everything so that I can actually still use my phone while using the E18, adjusting the volume and etc. So guys, this concludes basically our review of the E18 Kunlun from FiiO. We hope you enjoyed, and let us know in the comments below whether or not you are willing to make a purchase on something like this, and whether or not you have had any other experience with any other portable DACs and amps. So share them in the comments below. I'm sure that our viewers would like to hear alternative options. But we really appreciate you watching this content. Make sure to subscribe for more similar things like this. like this video if you found it helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.